Hello and welcome. It is the 37th episode. We're excited to bring you even more valuable insights and practical advice to help you enhance your website's performance. We're going to explore strategies to make your website work harder for you, reigniting your pride in your online presence. This is the 90-day website mastery podcast with my co-host Pascal Fintoni. Good morning, Pascal.
Good morning, everyone. And I was actually asking people during a masterclass recently. I had the promo for the podcast, had the QR code and all those things, and people are always excited about knowing about a new podcast and getting to see you and hear you and I a bit more. But they were saying, how did you come up with the 4 segments? I said, well, actually, the 4 segments are inspired by you, our very audience, our trainees and mentees, because these are the kind of questions you ask us. These are the kind of resources we love to share. These are the kind of tools we like to mention. And you know what we like? We like to ask you to take action. And it was kind of interesting to be challenged because we've done 37 episodes, as you say. We've been running the program for a while. We've made some announcements recently, which we'll remind people about. And it's always good to go back to, how did we start with this? And we started with essentially imagining being in a meeting situation with our lovely clients.
Absolutely. And on those 4 segments, we have, as always, we have You Ask, We Answer, where we've got a question submitted by our fantastic community. That's you listening right now. Perhaps you're live with us. Perhaps you're listening on the recording on the podcast. We're so glad you're here. For information, we stream out on LinkedIn, we stream out on YouTube, and across all your favorite podcasting platforms. We have the You Ask, We Answer. We then go on to website stories where we share an article or a podcast that perhaps we've seen and we want to dissect. And then we move on to the website engine room where we share an app each or a piece of kit that's going to make your life easier as a website manager or a website content creator. And then, of course, we finish with the website call to action, which is one change or adjustment that you could be making to your website right now. Let's start with the first segment, which is You Ask, We Answer.
Now, I think you're going to appreciate this question, Jonny, because this is actually from a very recent workshop I was running. And we were talking about the need to update your website, of course, the need to be able to find your voice, the need to be able to, again, feel proud of your website by having something that you're very happy to share as an online destination. And we talked about company updates and the need to at least, as a minimum, have a monthly company updates within the blog section. And people said, well, I'm trying to, but it's becoming very repetitive now. Any advice or suggestions? What say you, Jonny Ross?
Oh, that mind block of content. Yeah, for sure. Well, for me, I do like a spreadsheet, and I find that a spreadsheet solves every problem you can imagine. I really do. So, I mean, I've got my tried and trusted technique, which really simply is writing down a list of dates of things that are happening in the world over the next 12 months that are related to your business. So that could be anything from new products or services. It could be from events or shows that you're aware of or that you're attending. It could be events that clients are going. So perhaps sectors or industries that you focus on, what's going on in their industry, in their sector, and what are the dates of those things. Bringing in all the standard stuff like Valentine's Day and Christmas Day and all that stuff that if you can relate it to your business. So I think that's sort of step 1 is you come up with those list of dates, and step 2 is you put them all into a spreadsheet and you start coming up with themes for different weeks of the year. So, the third week of March, we focus on, whatever it might be, a sporting event, and we relate a particular service to it. And in that spreadsheet, we have lots of different columns to make us think about the different types of content that we might use, whether it be audio or video or written. We also think about, who's going to write it, when does it need written by, when does it need recording by, what pictures do we need, what keywords do we need, and have sort of that produces a plan. So I guess it gives you that accountability and that planning. Got tons of other ideas, but that would be my first go-to solution, which is tried and tested, a good old spreadsheet that gives you that accountability and a bit of a plan going forwards.
What you're reminding us, which is great, is that the level of planning and consideration is the same for maybe the how-to series of articles you're going to be doing, or the reviews of techniques and tools. Because I think with company updates, what people tend to do it, and I have a lot of sympathy for that, is almost wait for the end of the month and go, oh, right, I need to do a company update, looking back at the month that was, and then you kind of chasing around for anecdotes and whatever. So for me, I would agree, treat it as if you were actually not a member of the team and you're the journalist on behalf of the business, and therefore in advance you need to know about the broad strokes. But also maybe part of the mindset is it may be repetitive to you, but for a first-time visitor, it would be the first time that they're going to read that recent company update. And please understand, for all we're going to ask you to do, put the work in, it's unlikely someone's going to go back 6 months in time to look at what you said and did back then. But what I like to do with the company updates, firstly, I like to claim it by making sure there's a interesting label or a name for that series, almost like you would if it was a magazine. The next thing is, sometimes as a reminder, back to your point about not forgetting what you should be mentioning, I sometimes used the 7 Ps of marketing just as a checklist of all the things that you should be kind of mentioning. Also think of the company updates as a way to signpost people to content within the website. So maybe, the company updates, you mention that you and your colleagues went to an event, and then you put the link to the events roundup article written by one of your colleagues. So you can also use the company updates for internal linking, for pointing out things that people maybe have forgotten or taken for granted. And for me, part of what I do is simply ask, when I do the mentoring sessions, what have you done? Where have you been? Who have you met? And almost the 3 questions can also be a good way to go about it. But if it's repetitive, maybe like Jonny was mentioning, think about changing the format, think about changing the layout, think about changing the segments, back to that again, and maybe do multimedia. And the one thing that people need to remember is a lot of the company updates content is already on social media. So what you've done, almost without realizing, is you've kind of created your future company updates one social media post at a time. So sometimes you can repurpose and rewrite it, or sometimes, which I like to do to add media interest, Jonny, is embed actually the LinkedIn post, or embed the tweet or the Facebook post within the company update. So I think it's a mindset thing. It's a prep thing, like Jonny was mentioning, but also just make it fun and interesting and useful to the audience.
Yeah, and on that fun and interesting part, don't forget about the people. This is it. It needs to be emotional as well. Bring in some emotion into this. Not in every update, but in some updates. So therefore, think about how you can bring in your customers, your clients. How can you bring in your employees, and produce some behind the scenes content as well. So it's about just sort of broadening the scope of your updates a bit and thinking a bit wider, and thinking how you can bring people into this and bring that emotional side as well, which is just so important.
And very quickly, if I may, building on your point, Jonny, of course, you mustn't forget about your contribution to the community, from charity work to donations and so on. And I know sometimes people like to do this in a very discreet way, back to that kind of modesty. But I think back to, you should highlight the good work of the charity, perhaps, as opposed to what you do for them, if you found that to be more elegant. But yeah, everything that you do. I would close with a statement that people have heard me say many a time, but remember, your ordinary is someone else's extraordinary.
I love that. Is that from a film, Pascal?
I don't think it is, but it should be.
It should be. Yeah. I think the reality is we could do a full series on just this question. Never mind one podcast episode, or never mind one segment. And talking of segments, it's time for segment number 2, which is website stories.
Now, in this segment of the show, Jonny and I like to review and react to a piece of content. Could be a video, could be an infographic, could be an article that can help us reflect on what it means to be a website manager in today's economy. And today we've gone for a video, and actually it feels like a special video because it was selected for 2 reasons. One is to show you an example of what is possible with regard to video marketing, video blogging, but also it feels quite unique because this video is an episode of Google Search News from the Google team, and the host of that Google Search News, almost like a newsreel, is John Mueller, who is the senior search analyst at Google. And if memory serves, you've met John Mueller at an event, Jonny.
I have, yeah. It was, in fact, was it just last year, Brighton SEO, and I challenged him as well. Gave him a challenging question, which was, is there going to be a decline in the use of Google as people start moving to AI to ask the questions? And Google clearly know that that's going to happen, which is why they've introduced AI into their search engine. But it was an interesting, it was a good conversation that I had with him, and it was good to meet him.
Yeah, I mean, at the time I said I was extremely jealous because if you work in SEO, if you work in digital marketing, of course you're going to pay attention to what's happening with Google. And John Mueller has done a good job with his colleagues to keep us up to date in his own ways. They used to have very long form updates. And I mean, literally it was an hour conversation between him and his colleagues. And I kind of like the idea of the Google Search News because this episode is about 6 minutes. So as a lesson for all of us to take on board is it is possible to share quite a bit of valuable information in the space of 5-6 minutes and make the video actually very simple. For all there are some interesting animations and graphics, anyone could do what you will see if you follow the link in the show notes with a mobile phone. A bit of editing on Canva. If you have a pal that enjoys video editing, just give that to him or her. And what I liked about the search news was the split again in segments. So we had an update on the new Search Console recommendations panel, which I'll get your reaction from. Then we had an update on the way in which Google likes to find and index information, saying, well, this works, this doesn't work. There was an interesting update on Google Trends, one of my kind of favorite tools. But interesting, some word of caution about just use the trends to come up with content that nobody is interested in your sector. What I liked about the video is a segment on shout out to the community. So literally, people do not work at Google got a shout out for an article, for a review on things like brand recognition or international SEO, and then some very practical update on the new image format AVIF that's been now recognized and indexed by Google, and the announcement of a new video series on how to understand SEO, but importantly, how to use Search Consoles and Google Trends. So, I mean, what did you think? The format was simple, wasn't it? But a lot going on in 6 minutes.
Yeah, there was a huge amount covered, and they're very handy updates. I mean, it just helps bring to life what's going on from Google's point of view, and keeps you forever thinking about where you need to take your digital presence to align with Google's direction. I like the idea of bringing in recommendations into Search Console. It's an often underutilized tool. You tend to find that it's only utilized by the sort of more technical people, and the recommendations has been around a long time in tools like Google Ads. It can be prescriptive. It can be at times sort of telling you to do something that actually doesn't make sense, but at the same time, it does in a lot of cases bring a lot of value and make you think about things that you may not have considered. And certainly from a client point of view, if you're not in the depths of search engine optimization of organic traffic and sort of in the depths of website analysis on a daily basis, those recommendations can make a big difference very quickly. So I love the introduction of that. I've gone off tangent in terms of the actual video that John did, but that particular thing was the thing that jumped out for me. And the move towards a different format of images as well. So it's the AVIF file format, which Google's fully embracing. Browsers like it. It's much better compression, it's faster, it gives you more enhanced color and 4K, and so that's an interesting move as well that we all need to consider as website content creators in terms of the images, the file names, the format of images that we should be using as well.
I mean, do you think that the Search Console is not getting enough good PR? Because, I mean, I'm in meetings sometimes with clients and they will mention all the other dashboards and metrics that you can expect. And I find myself saying, what about Search Console? And I get a look, say, well, either people think it's too simple, therefore not useful, or they think, well, I've had enough of the different dashboards. I don't want yet another one. But I find this one to be really good to understand behavior. And actually, for me, its simplicity is its strength.
It's one of the must-have tools that I've been using since day one, really, of when it first came out. I'm guessing 15 plus years ago, and even now when I'm working on an SEO project or a campaign, it's in the top one or two tools that you would go to first. I agree. It's very underutilized. It's very overlooked. It's your place to be able to talk to Google. I don't mean just have a conversation. That's not what I mean. But it's the only place that you can talk in inverted commas both ways. Hear what Google's saying about your website and tell Google about your website to Google. And it's the only place you can do that. You can't have that conversation anywhere else. So it's the most important. It's really important, and it's very underutilized.
I want to quickly close on Google Trends, the other platform that was mentioned in this search news video, and
you like this tool a lot. I agree. Tell us more, Pascal.
And what I like about it is that it's really that practical entry into the right mindset around SEO and being relevant and current and that kind of things. But I've got a question really around Google Trends versus AI summaries, because Google Trends is informed by the search habits. So what he's saying is, at this moment in time, and what they're claiming is that they're going to be even more swift in telling you about what's trending at this moment in time against that kind of general topic or subject area. These are the kind of words and phrases people are using, and there's either increases and decreases, and that can give you some clues and cues about your content marketing. But with AI summaries, I wonder whether essentially people are not going to search it the same way. They're going to literally just put in one or two words, and they're going to have a detailed AI summary that they're going to spend minutes reading and consuming. But that's not going to inform Google Trends, or am I perhaps missing a link here?
I think you're right. The way we use search is ever evolving, and therefore the data that's being picked up is more difficult. But the likes of Google and these tech giants will find ways of grabbing that data, even if it's through eye tracking. I think it's. I don't know if you've played with any of the accessibility features on the iPhone, but they're quite scary in terms of the eye tracking one, where you can literally look and tell it to press buttons. And if you tell me that, for example, Apple isn't using that data somehow, well, I reckon it is. So yes, people are changing how they search, but at the same time, these tech giants have ways of understanding the words we're focused on, I think.
So listen, everyone, there's a good example, a 6-minute video that informs your clients and get Jonny and I talking forever about the content. So I think for me, that was just a perfect selection for episode 37.
And whilst we're mentioning this, as I've said, we are live. We love people being with us and listening, and we want your comments. So do you use Search Console? What do you think of Google Trends? But more importantly, the segment we were talking about earlier, we were talking about content and coming up with ideas. Simon Raybold is listening on LinkedIn right now. He's got, for me, signposting is one of the most useful things. You can cover lots of content and then point at in-depth stuff. Well, it's true. You can simply be a signpost, can't you? And so thank you for sharing that, Simon. If anyone's got any other thoughts, let us know. We'll see if we can give you some kind of mention. But for now, let's move on to our third segment, which is the website engine room.
Now, this is about recommending some of our recent discoveries in terms of app solutions and maybe a piece of kit that can make life easier as a website content creator. So, Jonny, what is your selection?
Well, I do like a bit of AI, and I've been testing lots and lots of different text-to-image platforms where you can just tell the AI the image that you're after. And the one that I've been playing with recently is Leonardo.ai. It's just a versatile AI platform for generating high-quality images from text prompts. And it's producing some really good results. I mean, as I said, there's lots out there. What I find is that they all have their sort of expertise in different ways. So depending on the style of the image, depending on the format, depending on the output that you're looking for, I find that different tools are the go-to depending on what you're looking for. So my advice is to try quite a few, and to sort of have them in your armory, in your library of tools for image generation. And also, by using a variety of tools, you're not using the same tools as everyone else, so you're not creating the same imagery as everyone else. So yeah, I've seen some really good results, and that was Leonardo.ai.
I love the name. And interestingly, yesterday I was facilitating an AI masterclass, and the group, concluded that the text to images is not quite there yet. But your point is interesting because some of the thinkings around building a team of digital assistants in a manner you would with a team of real people. And if you imagine that you had a team of graphic designers, you know for a fact they will have different talents, different kind of voices, different career path that would lead them to produce information in a particular way. What I'm longing for, because I think with text to image, you've got two extremes. You've got it's oversimplistic, so you can't quite get what you want, or it's overcomplicated and it takes you so long that, frankly, you might as well go on pixels.com and find something that you can edit yourself on Canva. I'm longing for, and I'm sure it's out there, I've not seen it, please leave the details in the comments, but where you could literally upload your current image and your current kind of agreed, style of photography for the website. And that becomes the learning environment for AI, and say, see, this is a style I'm looking for. Now, using those prompts, as they are called, can you create a series inspired by that? And I think that's what we need, because the challenge right now is the platforms that have been testing, and there's a long list of them. They've learned from the billions of photography available out there, which give you this weird Gomongast style effect. But if you could say, look at those 20 images from my website, that's what I need, in similar fashion. But also as a reminder for everybody, if you could be using Leonardo.ai, don't expect to be able to create an image that is exactly a representation of maybe your products and services, for example. But there are two styles of visual marketing, as you know. You've got something that is meant to illustrate the point you're making, and one that is meant to be evocative about the point you're making. Think of it as more of a mood type photography. And I think where AI is particularly strong at there is to create that mood and that sensation. So we're talking about the company updates article, for example, and most articles will have a head of photography, and you kind of go, well, which photography do I get? Actually, AI can give you a great kind of evocative style photography, so that'd be great for that. My selection was inspired actually by a client who recently was looking at their current and future website sections and pages, and started with post-it notes, and he became a bit too unwieldy. So he was reminded me as by extension of a lovely mind map platform called MindMeister. And literally, as you would expect, you can build the mind map. It can be shareable, it can be editable as a group, and so on. And the activity, therefore, would be what are our current web pages, and maybe the customer journey, and then go through what you would normally do, which is, well, which one are we going to retain for this time next year? Which one are we going to maybe refine? And which one, which is always hard to do, are we going to remove before you can start to look at what's going to be new for the website? And then you can put some color coding and some kind of things. So using a mind map application to plan your future website is my recommendation, MindMeister.
Yeah, I love that. I'm very visual, and it really does help, doesn't it? Just put everything in places, in buckets, to be able to work out and get your thinking going. And yeah, nice tool. Thanks, Pascal. Let's move to our final segment, the website call to action.
Now, Jonny and I are going to ask you to make that one adjustment, that one simple action that can really make a difference and help you become proud of your website again. Jonny, what is your call to action?
It's one that has been around for a long time, but it's amazing that a lot of websites don't always use it. So this is breadcrumb navigation. It's the simple idea of adding breadcrumb trails to help your visitors and users navigate back to previous pages. It helps reduce bounce rates. It enhances site usability. It helps from an SEO point of view. Now, some of these features are included. So, for example, if you've got an e-commerce website, then typically that feature is included because products are part of a category or a subcategory, and then that on the page you'll have the ability to click that subcategory or to click the main category. But when we think of our products and services across a website, for example, especially in a B2B environment where we've got service pages, I don't often see breadcrumbs being used, and I think it can make big differences if you're trying to engage a user more on that website, to be able to give them links, to be able to give them to the sort of higher pillar page of content around that particular service. So I think some websites are definitely using it. It's not, this isn't the latest thing since, dare I say, sliced bread for a breadcrumb navigation. But I still do see a lot of websites that don't use it, and I think it really does add value. So, as I said, it helps engagement, reduces bounce rate, helps usability, but more importantly, helps search engine optimization. So, add breadcrumbs to your pages would be my call to action.
Thank you very much. And you're right. So breadcrumbs and cookies are the world of the internet. But for me, it's also this idea of review them. I mean, you may have them, but review them, because if it's meant to be useful to a visitor, what about the language? What about the layout? What about this prominence and so on? You can do all sort of things, because sometimes you're right. It's a default kind of feature within a website. So it's almost like the contact us page that you're not challenged many a time. It's there. It's kind of, we've got the boxes and so on, but what can you do to reclaim it from a language, from a style point of view? That would be also where we build on that. So I went for something that we explored as part of a You Ask, We Answer many months ago, but this idea of your business trying to establish credibility and authority out there in the marketplace would be a member of membership type things, trade bodies, institute, federations of, you've done all the right things, and sometimes just very informal and very actually important business clubs. And what I see people do, sometimes sadly very badly, is just this kind of mosaic of logos in a footer or somewhere, just and assuming that people actually are not going to pay attention, but also understand, so what does that mean? And this is the so what moment that you have spoken about many a time. So it's one thing to have the logos or these different membership style organization and trade bodies, but you need to spend a bit of time to explain the value to your customers. And this is where the company updates could be one. It could be actually an evergreen bit of content where you could have the logo, you could have the name of the membership organization, and just a bit of information about what that means to me as a customer in terms of maybe the way you're going to deliver the service or the way which you yourself as a supplier would be inspired to always do better and so on. So review your links to membership organizations. Are they still relevant, by the way? Are you still a member? I've seen people saying, oops, I forgot, we've not been a member for several years. And can you highlight them in an obvious way on the website so that ultimately it would help you? And I got a feedback from a client who did this exercise recently saying, oh, by the way, thanks to you encouraging us to review kind of membership, we discovered there was some important networking event we should attend next year.
Brilliant call to action. Thank you very much, Pascal. We want you to be proud of your website. That's what this episode and this series is all about. We want you to be web proud. That's what we want you to be. And so that's why we've, on this episode, focused on fresh website content strategies and some of the tools that you could be using for success. We've covered how to get you rethinking your content strategy, because if you like your content, if you are happy with your content, then you'll feel prouder of your website, and more importantly, you'll have people engaging and talking to you as well. We covered what John Muller has updated us in terms of Google. If you're not using Search Console, start using it more and start having a look at the recommendations feature as it gets launched. Google Trends, one of Pascal's favorite apps. Brilliant insights, helps you think of what's being trended at the moment, what words are coming out at the moment as well, and also consider the formats that you're using for images. We talked about in the website engine room, we talked about mind maps, and we also talked about text-to-image apps and how you could have a bank of graphic designers at the touch of your fingertips, and the more you start playing with them, the better you'll get an idea of the styles that they're out there. And of course, the website call to action: review your link with memberships and trade bodies and add some breadcrumbs. And if you've already got breadcrumbs, reflect on them and see if they are styled right. Another great episode, Pascal. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And as I'm listening to you, looking through our show notes again, make sure we've not forgotten anything, I'm thinking, how do we manage to fit this in half an hour? This is most unlike us as public speakers. But thanks, everyone. It's been great to be able to research and share that information with you.
That's a wrap for episode 37 of the 90-Day Website Mastery Podcast, your audio companion to the 90-Day Website Mastery Program. For more information, visit 90daymarketingmastery.com, where you can book a discovery call with either myself or Pascal. Watch out, this is the audio companion. We've got the book companion coming next week. We are web proud, and we want you to be web proud as well. So watch out on our socials and join us in our celebration and launch. It's goodbye for now. We'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage to enjoy whilst you review your notes and action steps. Check out the show notes for all the links. We will speak to you all soon. Take care. Cheers, Pascal.
Bye-bye.
Bye.